would be much, much busier. Judging from all the videos and movies, Vegas is just crazy and there's party everywhere. And then we arrived here and it was like that city.
The Las Vegas Strip, the city that never sleeps, is becoming silent. Casinos are getting empty and the vibrant energy has vanished. But behind these flashing lights, casino workers have revealed a heartbreaking truth. Is greed and rising costs chasing away the crowds? Vegas used to be the people's playground.
Many people believe at least part of the downturn can be tied to higher prices, especially right there on Las Vegas Boulevard. But is that really the case?
You could walk in with a few bucks and live like royalty for a day. Cheap meals, free parking. The buzz of the slot machines gave hope. Crowds packed the streets, alive with dreams and chance.
I used to come out here and vacation and prices was good, but I've been here for 2 years, so no, it's crazy now.
Then came the slow death, not overnight, a creeping change. Wall Street stepped in, thinking numbers over memories. Greedy hands added fees everywhere, resort fees, parking fees, drink surcharges. Every dollar squeezed from visitors until the magic faded. And the crowd? They paid for it, then turned away.
And revenue. But 8 News Now reporter James Schaefer shows us which Valley casinos have weathered the storm by betting big on the suburbs.
At first, a few pushed back. Old-timers warned, this is a slippery slope. But the lure of profits drowned out warnings. Resort fees, parking fees, pricey drinks, all became normal. This wasn't business as usual. This was a culture turned upside down. Old Vegas made you feel like royalty. New Vegas sees you as nothing more than open wallet.
Shows us which Valley casinos have weathered the storm by betting big on the suburbs.
Brian, Red Rock Resorts reported during their Q2 earnings call in their 49-year history.
Let's see what the workers have to say. The Strip sure looks glamorous on Instagram, but the real human stories regarding the Strip are anything but glamorous.
The second quarter was an exceptional one for the company by every measure. Our Las Vegas operations delivered its highest quarterly net revenue and adjusted EBITDA in our 49-year history.
Even dealers, hosts, waitstaff, these all were once thriving. But now, all are staring at empty floors and dwindling tips. What about the livable wages? It is now a fading dream. Some lost half their income in just 5 years. This is heartbreak in real dollars. Climate change laws making the first $60,000 of tipping tax-free sound great, but that matters little with zero foot traffic. One casino worker mentioned that the Canadians, who used to be nearly a third of some businesses' customers, are nearly wiped out by boycotting and inflated prices. No tourists mean no customers, which means no tips, which means no job.
Robust visitation and strong spend per visit, coupled with a strong table games business, helped drive the highest revenue and profitability in our gaming segment in the company's history.
The emptiness is everywhere. Lobbies that buzzed with excitement are now silent. Streets that were mayhem until dawn are now eerily still. On social media, people shared messages with pictures of the deserted walkways, empty gaming tables, vacant buffets. One caption says, "Vegas is dead, bro," with numbers to back it up. Surveys report the number of visitors dropping, occupancy rates down, room prices falling, even the number of airline arrivals is dropping.
Red Rock Casino says it's also your new neighbors contributing to the change as home construction continues on Summerlin West, Cadence, and Inspirada. Those new residents directly linked to the nearly 10% growth this year alone.
The Strip is not broken, not by a long shot. Here's a paradox. Far fewer people are coming, but casinos are making more money from those that do. The big shift in the business model from a volume to an exclusivity model. Instead of attracting mass quantities of middle-class visitors, properties are courting international high rollers, big spenders and convention goers who will pay up for a glass of well drink, a hotel suite, or a show ticket. The only thing that has changed? The Strip is feeling empty, quiet, sterile. The vibrant atmosphere that permeated the Strip has welcomed ads, bingo halls, and taco joints making millions. Casinos are betting 40 high-rolling guests can spend the same amount of money as 100 average tourists can. Who knows, in the spreadsheet it works, but it has destroyed the very essence that made Vegas so attractive.
How are the locals casinos doing? Because their market is already here.
Everybody here is so friendly.
and today we're on a day date. So kids are in school. This is perfect time for us to go out.
But this can't last. The whales, they can swim away anytime. Macau, Monte Carlo, anywhere. The regular folks, many have already left. Vegas isn't for everybody anymore. The sense of belonging, scratch that. The Vegas for all has been lost.
Through the summer slump, we know that a lot of the resorts on the Strip and the hotels downtown have been suffering because of the lower visitor numbers.
Ask folks, and folks say the Strip is not feeling like the people's playground anymore. The quiet isn't just a financial issue, it's emotional as well. People miss the vibe, the feeling that anyone could walk in and somehow lose and win themselves in some sort of adventure, be that they were going to run out of money or hit the jackpot. Today, the welcome mat has been replaced by a wall. Chatter and whispers of surcharges for everything, room rates unreachable, and comped services turned into aggravated upcharges abound. The city might appear open under local and state hospitality codes, but it feels decidedly off limits from a feeling and spirit standpoint. Even folks who have worked here for decades and gone through a myriad of ruptures, the sentiment is the same. Vegas isn't for everybody anymore, and you can tell.
I feel like I've grown up here in this movie theater. I always come to this movie theater, so it's always nostalgic and feels safe and fun.
Well, you can go bowling, there's an arcade, places to eat, watch movies, so a lot of things for us to do.
Loyalty is being chipped away. If customers see their vacation dollars being gouged with additional fees, an extra $50 for a buffet, and the $25 fee for parking, they won't feel lucky or special. Rather, they will feel burned. And burned customers do not return. The cost of squeezing every last dime from the bottom line. The Strip stays shiny, but the juice, the joy invoked when the crowd erupts in unison, has begun to flicker out. For workers, each customer loss takes the form of a multifaceted loss. Their jobs, their hours, their sense of community. For the city, it is a little bit of their soul lost with every lost spark.
A North Las Vegas casino that's been around for decades is preparing to close its doors. The Poker Palace first opened back in 1974 with just one bar, one blackjack table.
How did we get here? The system has only one motivation: continual growth. Each decision made relates to the requirement for short-term performance. Clearly, there are investors who expect continuous improvement each year, and shareholders expect the same. The CEO lives by the next earnings call. The pressure to satisfy all stakeholders forces every decision to pass through a single filter. Will it improve the bottom line this quarter or year? The world-famous middle-class fund in the city became collateral damage in the pursuit of greater numbers.
Over the years, the property grew into a 25,000 square foot casino.
Executives rarely find themselves in deep discussions about philosophy. No one has waged a war on the little guy. It's just a product of that same 1,000 forms of small and tiny changes. Complimentary drinks a bit less complimentary, more difficult to receive comps, services provided based on availability, etc. Each reduction makes logical sense in the boardroom, but collectively produces a mountain in the real world that effectively functions as a wall that keeps most everyday families from returning.
Coverage continues now. Mass deportations of undocumented workers and workplace raids at Las Vegas casinos appear unlikely.
Vegas once sold a dream, a notion of myth that anyone could attain at least for a weekend. Now, the dream is a far-off myth. The city is still here, with neon shining and the spins still spinning, but the dream is running on empty. By the time my guest finally decided to leave, he has seen the cost up close. The hardest part? Seeing the locals not return, seeing employees losing their hours, lovely seeing the pulse of the city slowing down year over year. He tells me about those meetings, the meetings when he voted with the group, kept his mouth shut instead of fighting harder, rationalized each and every change in the name of survival. At the time, it felt like we were just keeping up. He reflects, I just realized we were sacrificing the future for the present. There was disappointment in his voice, not the melodramatic voice of a baddie, but the disappointment of being one of the many who signed up as a follower.
This summer, Las Vegas encountered new tourism challenges, translating into lower than average visitation and revenue.
The truth was, not participating was the only way he could stop contributing, even if it was to a city he actually liked. I wasn't in a position to save Vegas, he said with a shrug, but I could stop supporting its hollowing out. The scene on the Las Vegas Strip looks nothing like it used to. For decades, Las Vegas was exciting because people meant energy, busy casino floors, bright street corners, people from anywhere and everywhere mixing, a fantasy city mapped. All of that seems to have lost its sheen. The neon lights still flash away, but there are fewer faces on the strip, and the gaps were getting larger each month.
That is, $500 one night is $200 the next. So those numbers move around a lot.
Las Vegas has never had a lack of marketing promotion for its data, but now, as 2025 is rapidly unfolding, the story is rather grim. The city hosted about 3,100,000 visitors last June, which was a staggering minus 11.3% versus June of the previous year. That's not a hiccup. This is a blatant decline, impacting hotel stays, casino action, and all the businesses who have lived off tourist cash for generations. Occupancy fell hard, nearly 15%, and international tourists were down over 13%. No 2 years of the pandemic felt like this eerie mix of open doors and silent lobbies.
So what makes casinos different than pretty much every other business in our company? It comes down to one word, really: regulation.
It's more than just a single month. The Strip has been tracking one loss after another all year, with 6 consecutive months of fewer visitors. That's a pattern that has real repercussions on the people who keep the city alive. Workers in restaurants, carpets, bars, and showrooms. Every less tourist means less tips, fewer hours, and less belief that next week will be better. Many long-tenured Vegas workers are calling this the hardest year they've ever lived through, and no one knows when the spiral will break. There are many different explanations, but none of them capture the whole picture alone. For one, Americans and foreigners are feeling the pinch of rising costs all over the place. Food, flights, rooms, and especially entertainment. Many visitors used to extend their trips or come back for repeat weekends, but now more people are shortening stays or checking out other cheaper destinations. The effects of high fees, inflated parking costs, and plain old food prices are not just an internet complaint. They are pushing people away or pushing them to the less expensive properties off of the Strip.
What we have also seen, however, in the last several years is that the larger resorts in Las Vegas seem to be attempting to transition to a different type of market, to a more luxury, more expensive offering.
Then there are certain policy hits. A change immigration fee, for example, is adding new costs for international travelers from certain countries, making Las Vegas less attractive compared to vacation spots in Europe. The heat isn't helping. Our summer is reaching record-breaking heat with 2 nights in a row of 111 degrees Celsius or higher, making every outdoor experience miserable. More than a few visitors decided to just shrug their shoulders away from Las Vegas and spend their summers elsewhere.
So do you think that people who would ordinarily come here for the weekend right now are just a little uneasy about leaving California?
California has been Las Vegas's bread and butter for years, and that's changing. This summer, travel from California into Nevada dropped over 4%, and airport arrivals from the Golden State took a nosedive. To put it simply, far fewer Californians are making the trip. It was once commonplace to see throngs of people from Los Angeles, San Francisco, and other metropolitan areas fill the casinos and showrooms, but in 2025, those crowds are now thinner, replaced by empty tables and unsold show tickets.
I was very concerned because it's slow. When I drive down the Strip going to work in the morning and I barely see visitors out there.
It's not just domestic travel either. For international travelers, who numbered in the thousands and made up around 12% of Las Vegas visitors in recent years, Las Vegas has lost to overseas cities, along with other US locations, driving down revenue. With so many people skipping Las Vegas in favor of European cities, the Strip has lost not just revenue per visitor with day-to-day spending, but the excitement that comes with a truly global visitor. For the servers, dealers, and housekeepers in Las Vegas, a loss of bodies is more than just a simple count. It's a kick to the wallet. Every day with fewer guests means fewer tables to service, less tips, and sometimes even fewer shifts. Vendors that once had back-to-back events now line up hoping for a gig. The cash flow that used to flow through the city like water is now reduced to a trickle, while worry and resentment flow in its place.
All of the hotels, not just the big ones, all of them are trying to manage that inventory as best they can.
The shrinking crowds aren't just a loss for the casinos. The reverberations spread outwards to every dry cleaner, nail salon, taxi, and convenience store around. The town's economy that has thrived off crowds now seems to be operating in reverse. Layoffs have hit, hours have been slashed, and the old motto of what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas is being rewritten, with the most lasting impression being that of shutter restaurants and empty hotels. Another silent culprit contributing to the empty experiences are the city's own coffers, convention business. For Las Vegas, this has historically been a dependable stream of conventions to fill rooms and give life to the casino floors. As of this writing, not only are the numbers down, the schedule of events has compounded issues. Some of the biggest conventions have changed venues or dates to cities with better incentives and lower costs. And despite a slight bump in attendance early in the year, the city has not regained any parcel of the momentum or scale it had before. This is simply illustrative of how susceptible Vegas is to fluctuations in the larger travel and events economy.
You know, and this is the time
Las Vegas has always felt like the gateway for the world, but international tourism has taken a serious downturn this year. With new US travel regulations, a strong dollar, and some publicity boycotts, it's no wonder overseas numbers are down. Foreign spending is a huge lifeline for Vegas, especially for us in the high-end restaurants, luxury retail, and premium suite. And without them, Las Vegas, specifically the Strip, misses out on that economic lift and looks less cosmopolitan, and frankly, is something you can't fake with domestic tourists alone. There is a theory for every nook and cranny of the city about why it appears that the Strip is empty. For some, it's the ridiculous costs, resort fees, drink fees, parking fees, rendering impossible for families or budgeted leisure travelers to afford to travel to Las Vegas. Some point to broader economic issues. Gas prices are up, the cost of flights is up, political uncertainty has chewed into travel budgets. Even the few viral videos showing Strip streets nearly deserted have impacted perceptions so that wannabe travelers think the party is not worth the price of admission.
I'm worried. Like, what are we going into? What's going to happen?
Everyone from valet attendants to hotel operators emphasizes one point above all. Losing the middle-class traveler is like a slow leak no one is prepared to stop. Vegas has always counted on millions of average people willing to steal a few days of fantasy. Conventions fill the gap, but do not replace the families, the friends, the fun of arriving in rented cars, the familial feel of tipping well for service, the fun of simply playing some slots, and the joy of having a packed pool party. The city's largest resorts are in disaster control, prefacing 2025 with a year of transition or a market correction. Publicity teams pitch new nightclub openings, celebrity chef openings, and there are still the good times, good days ahead. But buoyancy and pride wear heavy in these numbers, from the airport to the convention center. Visitors are spending less, staying for shorter periods of time, and loudly talking online about where their money actually goes. At the end of the day, what you have on the Strip is an energy game. A crowd creates the magic. If the crowd is gone, no amount of advertising will restore it overnight. Not everyone on the Strip is feeling the pain equally. A few properties that cater to high-end guests are able to ride the wave of smaller crowds that can still spend big. Some luxury operators are privately happy to see less riffraff blocking their entrances and crowding their lobbies, even if they have to bid farewell to their volume-based profits. In the casino boardrooms, the meaning is clear: fewer guests and higher average spend. But outside those boardrooms and in the world of service workers, the facts are a harsher reality to face.
So who stands to feel the most pain when the visitor numbers decline? Obviously people in the hospitality industry, but it goes much deeper than that.
In the meantime, off-strip casinos and locals-friendly businesses are taking a bigger slice of locals and budget-conscious visitors from their share of the tourism pocket. Some of these smaller places never chase conventions or foreign travelers. They have double bet on promotions, cheap dinners, and loyalty clubs, trying to woo visitors away from customers that feel chased out by high-priced resort fees. While it won't fill the deficit citywide, it's a lifeline for those who can pivot quickly. Las Vegas has always relished in getting back up after it has been knocked down. In reaction to empty stadiums and slow turnover slot machines, there is now a concerted effort to draw back visitors by offering deals, entertainment packages, and relaxed fees. Some properties have eliminated parking charges for the first time in years. Others are discounting dining experiences or buffet prices to entice skeptical previous visitors. There's also a sharp rise in explicit ads to convince potential visitors that now is a great time to visit. It's a buyer's market for fun in Las Vegas. Vigorous attention is being paid to encouraging local events to grow the sports or music lineup, with the hope that regular games and concerts may stop the bleeding until the broader tourism economy stabilizes. But the obstacles to recovery are daunting. For most, people need to believe that the trip is worth it again, that their money buys fun instead of disappointment, and it does not feel like a loss in the process. Talk to old-timers and listen to the nostalgia flow. Participants swap stories about how a 5 prime rib dinner seemed quite endless, or the euphoric sense of finding their way to Vegas and getting treated like a king, regardless of how fat your wallet was. All the new fees, decreasing benefits, and company cost-cutting not only have erased the brilliance of the lights, it has compromised the mythology of City of Lights. If Vegas cannot safely promise you a break from reality, what the heck is it good for? Some longtime local folks have hoped that Las Vegas will figure out its purpose and start to remember where it came from before the crowd is gone. Others are not as uplifting, figuring the energy and sensation that became the blueprint for the Strip being world famous cannot simply be resurrected with price changes. It took generations to build the reputation of the city, and only a few short years to eliminate the very crowd that represented it. Each quarter, executives look at revenue sheets and occupancy numbers, wishing for a quick turnaround. The stakes are more than just numbers on the chart. They're part of the future of an entire ecosystem, tens of thousands of jobs, countless small businesses, and the very sense of identity for Las Vegas. The longer hotels sit at partial occupancy, the longer the layoffs roll through, and the greater risk the Strip faces of ossifying into a high-end ghost town out of reach for the very people who at one time made it pulse with life. Is there hope? A few of the resorts have begun exploring ways to bring back the magic, trialing lower fee options, dedicated deals, and community events in order to lure back the regulars. But the mindset of fees and exclusivity is a tough one to turn back on. After a period of taking advantage of paying customers, turning back from that mindset is not just a financial engineering exercise. It is an act of change. Las Vegas could again reinvent itself, but only by having faith in the very people that it was built up on. And this brings us to the crux of the conversation for all of us. Las Vegas is not over yet, but it is on the brink of losing what continues to make it iconic. Behind every lobby you walk into devoid of life, every empty dance floor is a set of decisions. Some made with some amount of good faith, some made only by expediency, and some made simply out of pressure. Los Angeles never had an inherent soul. Vegas was born from hope, from dreamers believing they mattered. If the Strip decides to play the long game, not just the next quarter, that magic could return, but it's on the line. Until then, the city must come to terms with the real reason it's empty. Not just economic headwinds, but a slow betrayal of its own people, workers, and dreamers alike. And for those left cleaning tables, spinning wheels, or wandering quiet casinos, all that's left is hope that someday someone will bet it all to bring back a little of that old Las Vegas magic. The narrative in Las Vegas in 2025 is more than vacant casinos or falling visitor numbers. It is a city experiencing profound changes in identity that extend beyond tourism and gaming. One underexplored prong of that narrative is how the changing face of the Strip alters the lives and expectations of its residents, workers, and neighborhoods, affecting what Vegas represents at home as much as it does to the world.
In our industry, on the Las Vegas Strip, it's not an issue.
Why not?
Well, it's heavily regulated. Most industries are not regulated like gaming.
Las Vegas has been a destination for decades, not only for tourists, but also as a place to pursue personal reinvention. A city where the bright lights offered opportunity, excitement, and escape. Life was lodged within the constant flow of visitors bursting into casinos, shows, and restaurants. Workers in hospitality, entertainment, and services built livelihoods off the tourist economy and forged vibrant communities defined by shared experience and momentousness, underpinned by guests always driving the local economy. However, as visitor numbers dwindle and corporate interests shift, these communities are rapidly fraying. While the impacts vary across sectors, one of the first to feel any effects of the slowdown is economic security for countless residents. Hospitality positions, once plentiful and relatively valued for the wages and tips, are now diminished or gone. Where once only finding extra shifts or side gigs were the issues before the economy toughened, individuals are now starting to lose shifts, or wages are static, or hours are not even given, and the future remains unknown. This squeezing effect rippled across neighborhoods where many families have called these homes for generations, and is making residents consider where and whether they can afford to stay put. Rental markets in some areas are being squeezed, while the opposite is true in other areas, creating inflation in rents in some areas and pressure on rental markets in others, with some neighborhoods experiencing both hope and serious hardship coexisting.
It's that this riling up the economy, this idea of mass deportations, mass tariffs would bring on a slowdown.
Effects like this are like those felt by local businesses, often shops, cafes, diners, and casual entertainment venues enjoyed by tourists and visitors, now struggling to find their own footing and wondering how to have their normal come back. Most owners are talking about a noticeable separation between pre-COVID and post-COVID experiences as well. The whir of the strip, once loud and buzzing, is now a fleeting thought, an empty stage that has cleared all the actors. A neighborhood bar might have attracted its share of excited after-work crowds with casino shifts, or weekend travelers searching for a drink away from the strip's neon glow. Those crowds have thinned and revenue is down, and entrepreneurs are left to reinvent themselves or close the doors. But money isn't the only thing turning up missing. There is no doubt there is more than a financial shift. There's a loss of collective spirit, a loss of unspoken ties established by shared space and place influenced by tourism that was more formative than transformation. The humming of the city, like the strip's buzz, was not just monetary, it was also social. It was the festivals, it was the local shows, it was smiling workers and anxious street performers, and all the other indicators of an urbane and vibrant culture that buoyed residents just as much as it flabbergasted tourists. Now, when the streets are quiet, an absence of impromptu exchanges reinforces a solitude pierced by even the most animated neon signs.
That feels really unusual. Who on earth ever heard of spending $600 or $700 a night for a hotel room in Las Vegas? That was ridiculous. Well, that was before there was Bellagio and Palazzo and Aria and others.
At the heart of this transformation is a striking paradox. The very success of Vegas as an entertainment mecca made it increasingly unaffordable and unlivable for the people who gave it life. Rising costs, housing, utilities, transportation have pushed many locals to fringe areas or forced them to commute from outside Clark County. The city's open arms to tourists contrast sharply with the struggles of those who call Vegas home, a divide that's becoming more pronounced with the current downturn. In this tangled intersection of economics, culture, and identity, Las Vegas in 2025 offers a story seldom told, not just of a city losing its crowds, but of a community quietly fighting to hold on to its soul. The quiet streets and shuttered venues are symptoms of deeper stresses, but they also create space for reflection, innovation, and hope. The question is whether Vegas's powerful allure, forged in neon lights and boundless energy, can evolve to embrace a future that truly serves all who live in and love this desert city.